Halo, good morning, Sampurasun, salam rahayu. Ini episode pertama di serial saya yang bertujuan untuk memperkenalkan jemparingan Kasepuan atau budaya panahan Jawa yang ada di Pulau Jawa, bukan Jawa loh ya, yang ada di Pulau Jawa dan daerah-daerah yang apa ya istilahnya, terjawanisasi. Maksudnya daerah-daerah yang masih memiliki hubungan erat dengan budaya Jawa kuna dan juga bahasa Kawi. Kali ini saya akan membahas tentang peralatan, tapi mohon maaf, saya akan melanjutkan ini dengan bahasa Inggris, in English, karena memang tujuannya ini sebagai menjadikan budaya kita itu intellectual equal di kancah internasional. Okay, so talking about equipment, in this episode one, I'm gonna talk about the classic bow, if you will. Episode two, I'll talk about the modernized design, and we'll get to technique in episode three. So, I'm gonna start with the arrows because Eastern cultures, not all of them, but many of them, including most Indonesian, I wouldn't say tribes, because that's what the Indonesian word suku means. It's more like Indonesian ethnicities and Indonesian civilizations. Also, talk about archery from the point of the arrow. It's something I noticed. It's a pattern that I noticed. And New Sensei, when he tried out Turkish traditional archery, he also got this information too. Let's start with the arrows. So these are intended for traditional Sundanese ritualized archery, because it's not really only for, it's great. Its most banger moment is during a harvest festival, harvest ritual, yearly harvest ritual, Serentahun, Satonan, and all that. And at that time, the rules are very loose, for not really the rules, the how do you call it, the MOU. So some would go like, they still go by the rule that you register your arrows, not yourself. So you can actually give this to three of your mates who are better archers than you, and you still get the prize. You work as a team, basically. So they sell by the 21. I forgot how much they shot per round. Is it 7? I think it's 7. Correct me if I'm wrong. Teman-teman di Kasumberdangan, di Kuningan, mohon dikoreksi ya, 7 panahan perambahan atau bagaimana. So let's take one from the quiver. I'm just gonna wear it like this because I'm not in the field. You see this, it's very short. I don't have the full length arrow with me. It's in the compartment for cultural objects, in the room dedicated to cultural objects that are routinely used. I use these sparingly. It's about, I would say, I cannot really speak in inches, but it's 60 centimeters or 55 centimeters. That means it's about 23 and something inches and to 24. You can get them custom made if you have especially long ends, but this is the ammunition quality, but a bit sentimental. Sentimental to me. The one who made it is a very special and an elder of a village, and the one who distributed it to me is a very good friend. I reviewed his bow in the episode, not episode zero, the upload before this. It's about 4 millimeters, maybe not even 4 millimeters on the money, but yeah, 4 millimeters is a good measurement. So let's start with the knock end. You can see it's, it's a relatively shallow knock compared to modern knocks, and maybe the depth of knock that people would really like these days, but this is deep enough for you to do three fingers and don't pause on that. Even though I wouldn't recommend you to do three fingers at the Mediterranean release if you don't make your own string with this kind of knock. If you use like modern materials, it's a lot safer to do the three main techniques, which I'll dive into in episode 3, but I'll brush it over here. So the way they do it, I'll start with the most common technique in my area. I cannot speak for other areas, but in my areas, starts from the most common to least common. So either do an augmented two fingers, augmented Flemish, I like to call it, like this, and I'll actually demonstrate on the bow. I forgot that I have my bow next to me. Okay, like this. So I recommend you pull like this. You don't really exert, you don't pull the string with your thumb. It's all the weight of the string is on these two fingers, so it's very powerful, and it's a balance between power and clean release. That's the most common older style of drawing the arrow, older releases. Even though some people are they do it like this, so it's like an evolution from this, and then you're just pulling it back, right? Or like this, and this, and then like that. Anyway, I'm going on a tangent. Oh, or very, if your bow is so heavy, just do it with three fingers and slightly cant it, so you still get the clean release. Just be careful for knock pinch, and with even though you're softly pinching the knock. Yeah, if you're doing it wrong, it's gonna be like that. If you do it with a straight thumb in this technique, that is just fine. And yeah, the jindot, the pinch grip. Yeah, all of these are different uh, meanings of pinch in Javanese. Javanese is a very out there. Everything has a word for it kind of language. It's all pinch grip according to the Javanese. Uh, and literal primary release pinch grip. With this kind of arrow, it's very comfortable to do, especially if you use the Sumedang way of doing it. Like that, that is strong enough to generate good power. I have sweaty hands right now. It's flaming hot, and I can actually draw up to the uh, arrowhead, almost up to the arrowhead, when I really commit my pinch draw to it. And I don't have sweaty hands when I don't have sweaty hands. That's why I think that's why it's the least common way. Anyway, that's all there is to know about knocks. The tip, the arrowhead. I'm gonna go to the flashings last. The arrowhead is just a piece of steel, cold forged. I heard, I think this is spring steel. This is not like stainless steel. This is carbon steel. Even though maybe 1060 or something. I don't really know. Very utilitarian. And it's just a piece of thin strip of carbon steel and cold forged to perform like that. I think mm, this one, it's probably welded actually. So after it's been rolled onto itself, it's heated to make sure that it sticks, and maybe beaten a few times. Maybe not over really high heat. I don't know. Yeah, that's actually a bodkinly, bodkinish kind of point, a needle bodkin-ish point. I think this can actually go between rings of mail because, sorry for going on a tangent again, people think that, and in modern people imagination, because of the heroic depictions, it's a lot like 300 actually. Traditional heroic depictions, uh, they imagine our knights never wore any armor. They never imagine the heroes wearing armor. But there are lots of literary and some archaeological evidence that chainmail was, or mail, mail, is very common in Java, across Indonesia actually, not just Java. But from the archaeological artifacts that I've seen, they're mostly butted mail, a lot like Indo-Persian mail. So this might have its roots there. Why is it painted over there? Well, it serves multiple purposes. One, to make sure that if you have a really strong hand, you don't actually overdraw the arrow and get your hand knocked or nicked from the arrowhead. The other reason why is because in West Java, they use poison arrows. In Central Java, they sometimes use poison arrows, and the more east you go, they rely on heavy poundage. So that there is to mark where you really dip the arrow in that herb, uh, poison herb stew, if you will, and yeah, you try to keep your hands hygienic because yeah, getting poisoned by your own poison is very stupid. Oh yeah, the fletchings. These are eagle, which is why it has sentimental value to me because most of these would be made out of goose feathers or swan. Yeah, swan. Mentok is swan. I just remembered. I rarely speak English these days because I move away from the city. Uh, yeah, and you see it's slightly barreled in this section. So if you really like, well, I would call it rough, but it's up to you really. Kind of really up there pinch draw. You can do that. I prefer a very subtle pinch draw, like that. Really on the fattest part of the knock. Yeah, these are eagle feathers. First time I have eagle feathered arrow. The crestings are really nice. It's totally handmade, so it's maybe just like that or on a jig, just rolled, but a very traditional jig. It's not that Indonesia is a third world village. No, it's that people still use the traditional way when making traditional weapons, while use the modern way while making tools and all that. It's that kind of mentality here. Okay, that's the arrow. It's already 13 minutes on the arrow, but I want this to be a comprehensive video. It's the bow. They have a traditional way of stringing the bow in where the bowyer lives in West Java, but I didn't grow up stringing the bow that way, so I stick to the step and then that and then yeah. Occasionally, when I'm with friends sitting in a circle cross leg, if you're Javanese, you usually do that. I just do it like that. So let's string it again. Maybe not the safest way of stringing a bow, but it's a traditional way, and you know, I'm not a very big fan of just copying from tradition, but if they've been doing it and they've made it work, more reason to believe that it's okay to do so. This actually came without an arrow pass at all. See this little carving I made here? But I insisted on putting it there because I actually tested the bow, which side or which way it throws the arrow fastest, and I find that if I put the arrow there, I get a good balance between bow stability and uh, accuracy. Because if I hold it there, the hand shock is so massive on my fingers, so I might actually, if I'm having a brain fog, then I might just like that. Yeah, so these are patong bamboo. Google the Latin name, I can't remember. That's been aged at least a year. Uh, some would say that up to 6 years is the maximum. It's really on personal experience, and just get an experienced bowyer. That's the most important thing. But the tips are reinforced with laminated, I would say, dogwood. It's very strong. So it's like jati or uh, hmm, I don't know. I really don't know, but it's very nicely stained. This one is a natural stain. This one, oh, this one is sonocaling. It's very black. So yeah, this bow has a unique character even visually. But it's a modern string, Flemish twist with, I don't know, Dacron material. I don't know what's the name of the material. It's a space age material, but the serving is still using silk, coarse silk thread. So yeah, still elements of tradition and modernity in one bow. I believe these are iron, and yeah, that sticker is, it's just for memories to come. I used this on a competition this last weekend. Is Saturday, yeah, last Saturday. It shows about Google the Mahabharata and Ekalavya. This dog with four arrows. It's four because it's painted in 1934. The symbol. The original story, 7 or 8 or 9 arrows. I forgot. Google it and know why Ekalavya in the Hindi spelling, Ekalavya in Old Javanese and Sanskrit pronunciation, is the symbol for archery competitions in Java. Because he's a better archer than Arjuna, and maybe even Karna. I wouldn't really delve deep into history. That'll be maybe for episode 5 or 6. Story time and histories. Uh, oh yeah, it's bounded. So the the one this section here is bound with silk thread, and then it's using modern thread, modern cordage that acts like sinew. It's used for fishing rods here. I forgot the name in English. Yeah, it's very pleasing arrow. This I've hit some natural targets, namely earthen mounds, and it has a thump in it. But this can kill if you combine it with poison. So yeah, it's non-lethal, but still not a toy object, I guess. Yeah, I really like this arrow personally because it's my first arrow with eagle feathers, and I'm using this very sparingly. I wouldn't. I did the earthen mount targets because I'm reviewing it, not because I'm having fun. I'm only gonna bring this to the range where risks of breaking arrows are relatively lower. Okay, that's all for the review. I'm